Hello everyone, Lucoshi here and welcome back to the second video of Dierenpark Genk. And in this episode we will be returning to our African village area and we are going to start work on the Meerkat exhibit. This exhibit is a very arid kind of exhibit. It has a very dry atmosphere to it, and that was something I had never done before, so it was a real challenge, but that's what I like to do in this series. I like to challenge myself with every single exhibit. And the challenge of this exhibit was making a very arid and sandy exhibit still look good. And we did that through tiny little detailing in the rocks and through detailing in the sand itself through different textures and slight depth in height variation, which you will see me doing throughout this video. And I highly recommend anyone doing this kind of exhibit do, because it's really cool. It's a tiny little detail and it makes it look so much more interesting. You can really see the effect of that later on in the episode. So I started off with just placing rocks, just covering the fencing with rocks to make it look not really natural, but just make it look interesting, you know? It is more interesting to have the entire exhibit covered in rocks than in a chain link fence. Even though I love my chain link fencing, this exhibit really needed the rocks to catch the atmosphere I wanted to have. And because this exhibit is a focal point of the entire African village area, I really wanted this one to have a very strong atmosphere and have lots of stuff happening at every angle you look at it. And I think we managed to do that. So here you see me doing the little variation in height. You don't really see it all that much, but it does make a notable difference if you compare it to a completely flat exhibit. And it makes it look so much more sandy and lived in and just pretty. The little indoor structure was a pain because I wanted to have a thatch roof, but we couldn't find one which would fit. So we just decided to go with a flat roof. It isn't the best looking building and possibly subject to revision, but it's good enough for now. It fits the little theming we have over here, and it's just out of the way. It doesn't really stand out as a sore thumb or something. It's just in the background, and it's good enough for being in the background, I think. So the foliage choice was hard because I normally only make exhibits in a temperate kind of climate, sometimes in a rainforesty feel, but never in an arid setting. But I really like an arid setting. As you can see in this video, I think it has very cool colors and you can make things very pretty without using all that much foliage. Normally you make things really pretty in exhibits through using lots of greenery and stuff, but in this exhibit power really comes from the rocks and from the sand itself. But the foliage does add a lot in the corners and stuff to accentuate the rocks, and I think it looks pretty cool. The colors we chose for the foliage are a lighter green than we normally use. Normally we use a really deep green hue, but in this exhibit we use a very light one. And I like it, I really like it. It's a bit yellowish as well, but it also has some very bright green plants in there, and it gives a nice little contrast, and I really like the colors and how they go together with the rocks and the wood and with the sand. The exhibit has two sections separated by a bridge, and the meerkats and the porcupines, by the way, porcupines are also in this exhibit. Meerkats and the porcupines can go under the bridge to go to the different sections. And one section is higher than the other one, so it gives a little bit more depth and it makes the exhibit more interesting than if it were just flat. But yeah, from the bridge you can see the entire exhibit, which I like, but the exhibit has lots of little angles as sidelines, with each sideline being completely different in the detailing it has and in the complete setup it has surrounding it. Some look up to the animals, some look down upon the animals, some look at a very small section, some look at a very big section. It's fun to walk around this exhibit, and I think that's important, and it's rare in my builds at least to really enjoy looking at an exhibit through every single viewing point. Normally I also make different viewing points, but one looks really good and the other ones fall flat because the exhibit mostly has one angle on which it looks really good and the others are just meh. But in this exhibit I think every angle looks somewhat decent, and I really wanted to create that effect. So I'm happy that we managed to do that. But here you can really see the difference in textures. You can see the effect the difference in textures has on the ground. It looks way more interesting right now, especially from the ground. From the air it does not look all that good, but from the ground it looks way better, which is also rare in my builds. Normally they look very good from the air, but from the ground they look not as good. But that's something I wanted to try in this build and will try in future builds as well, because I think that's very important to focus on how things look for the visitors and for yourself if you walk around on the ground. Then the little posing of the animals started. A very fun thing to do. Not at all. I really hate doing it, but it's for the pictures I make of my exhibits, which I post to the round table forums, over where lots of people show their zoos and where I have shown my progress of Dierenpark Genk in the past as well. Here you see me placing the good old Gaia bushes again. They are my they are the love of my life in this game. I use them everywhere. It's my go-to foliage, especially in the background, because I think background foliage is very important and can make a decent looking exhibit a very good looking one. So you can also see a little bit of contrast more with the arid feel of the exhibit and the surrounding very lush temperate foliage, which I think was a cool little effect and really juxtaposes the sand and the arid feel of the exhibit and makes it stand out a lot more. Yes, I did just use the word juxtapose in a Tycoon video. We've come to that point. But yeah, the exhibit itself is pretty much done up to this point. We are just going to make some slight alterations to the bridge, give it a little roof, which was a hard thing to do because I wanted to have a interesting little bridge, because the bridge is the focal point of the entire exhibit. Everywhere you look, from every angle you look into the exhibit, you can see the little bridge. So I wanted the bridge to be pretty as well, and I wanted the bridge to have a very open feel to it, but still have a little roof. And eventually we decided on getting some bushes on top of the roof, which I think looks pretty cool. It is not entirely how I wanted it, but I like it because the colors are very cool and really complement the root color. The first try I did here doesn't, but this color does look very good with the bridge, and I am happy that we decided to do that because it looks kinda cool and it's a little bit original. I haven't seen it all that many times, a bridge with some grass on top of it, in Tycoon at least. So I did some more touching up with the foliage and then started making more pictures, and especially the little preview picture I might have shown in a previous video, or I might have not, I don't know. I've shown it on the round table at least. It was a preview picture for the entire exhibit because I'd been gone from the community for like a year and decided to come back with this exhibit. And so I wanted to have a very pretty picture which would really show the atmosphere of the exhibit. So I wanted to have the bridge on there. I wanted to have as much of the exhibit on the picture as possible, really show the difference in height and show the arid feel. And I think this angle is the best angle to look at the exhibit, even though most angles are really pretty, as you will see in a second. Because now we are going to our pictures, I think. Yes, here we see the bridge and we see the foliage, and right here we see another angle and another one. You can really see the bridge. I think it turned out pretty cool, and I really like this exhibit. But yeah, that's about it, people. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!